Well, the double treble hopes are over for City. Liverpool's Europa League treble is out the door too, but Leverkusen still remain. We're down to the Champions League semi-finals. The FA Cup final is set, and the home stretch of European play is upon us. Welcome back for our first official episode of A Soccer Fan Walks Into a Bar, right here inside Newburgh Brewing Company. I'm Dave, and we'll dance through some European play, as well as some domestic news too. Stick around for Cherries on Top, our segment devoted to AFC Bournemouth, and our preview of all the watch parties we'll be hosting right here at the brewery. We welcome to the show the Salsa King of Colton Street, Diego. How you doing
everybody.
this week?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Good. Yes. Recovering from a little injury.
Yeah, how's the back
survive.
feeling these days?
I can walk again, man. That sciatica kills you. It's ridiculous.
All right. So, obviously you were a little bit bedridden. Did you get into any of the games over the week? Or
a lot of them, dude. That's all I did. That's all basically. All I did was watch soccer.
All right. Did you catch any of the Champions League?
Yeah. Crazy games, though. Crazy games. Barcelona.
Well, let's hold off. We'll talk about Barcelona in a little bit.
All right.
We'll go with the first half of the bracket first.
All right.
Bayern Munich defeating Arsenal 3-2 over the two legs, and Real Madrid in penalties over Man City 4-4 after the two 90-minute spells. They went to extra time, and Real Madrid prevailed on penalties. Thoughts on the Arsenal Munich matchup?
It was a tight match. You get the result. Bayern Munich got the result at the end. They did well. They play well, like every German team does. And the Champions League is a league that you gotta go through German teams to get there. They're really good. They're well coached. So we'll see what happens in the semis.
Yeah. Speaking of German, we do have another German side on the other half of the bracket that we'll cover in a little bit. I was surprised a little bit with how well Munich played, actually. They've been struggling mightily in Bundesliga. I think they're like 13 points, 11 points back from Bayer Leverkusen. Yep. I believe it's still official that Thomas Tuchel is going to be out at the end of the season. A lot of uncertainty with Bayern that they're not used to. They've won the league the last 10 or 11 years in a row, never really faced much opposition domestically. And Champions League has always kind of been their bread and butter, and generally speaking, it seems like a semifinal or bust is their mentality for what they deem a successful year. So it was an interesting match. Probably for me was the most surprising of the four quarterfinals rather. That we saw.
No, yeah, it's very true. But Arsenal is Arsenal, and they're playing really good in the league, and they're spread out thing like we talked about last time. So sometimes that's what happens, and like you said, Bayern Munich, that's their bread and butter. It doesn't matter what they're doing in the other league because their focus is always the champions. That's what they want to win all the time. Like you said, they're dominating their own league, so there is no need for them. Yeah, this year is different. Leverkusen is crazy right now. That's amazing. But, we'll see what happens.
I agree. All right, so moving on over to Madrid and City. This was, for all intents and purposes, from a lot of the pundits and a lot of the fans, pretty much the final.
He should have.
I agree. It's probably the best two clubs that we've seen in recent years. The only nice thing about it is that we got to see it over two legs instead of a one-leg neutral site final. Okay. So to be able to have that game, at the Etihad and at Santiago Bernabeu, it gives it a little bit more cachet. It was for the neutral. They were both great matches to watch.
Oh yeah.
Plenty of action from both sides. Individual battles, team battles, and at heart, I am a big Carlo Ancelotti fan. It was nice to see him come out on top there, and they're in line for a domestic double potentially too. They're runaway leaders in La Liga, and And based on what is left in the competition, for me, they're the favorite.
Yep. The same thing. Bayern, Real Madrid, they're perennial players in the semis, finals. Madrid, most winning team in the Champions League. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's a situation that it's just we see coming every year. It's not about how many are going to make it, it's how many are going to make it with them to these.
And at this point in the competition, even quarters, or really, once you're out of the group stage and into the knockout rounds, you'll get a Porto every now and then, or a León, or one of these startup clubs. But when you get to this point, every team has what it takes to potentially win a final. So there are no easy outs anymore.
No, but pedigree counts. Being there before, the knowledge that you can and will do it no matter what. That's kind of like what separates these two teams from the rest of the pack, basically. Manchester City's got it too, and that's why this
in recent
game was
history,
so
for sure.
good. That's why this matchup was so incredible, because they had the pedigree. Yep. Like we said, they should be the finalists, but that's the way the cookie crumbles when it comes to the pairings.
All right, so
sometimes.
Now going forward, what do you think Munich and Real Madrid? What do you got?
I got Madrid too. I mean, I'm not a Madrid fan. I'm not going to lie. I've never been. I'm a Barca fan. When it comes to those two teams, I'd rather have Barca than Madrid.
I agree. I like I said, I've gotten soft in my old age as a supporter of Ancelotti. He's just as cool as it can be on the sideline. Doesn't matter if they're, struggling in the league or en route to another Champions League final. He's just, you wouldn't know it. With Carleto.
No. He can't handle that pressure. He never faces it.
So a little bit of history between Munich and Madrid. They last met in the 17-18 Champions League semifinal. Madrid advanced on that. They won 2-1 in Munich. They drew in Madrid, and they moved on to the final, which they eventually won. They've played 26 times total. Madrid has won 12. Bayern has won 11 and 3 draws. So, you talk about pedigree. You talk about two of the big boys in European and global soccer, and it's about as tight as it can be.
Hey, listen, that's the test for Madrid. They have to go through Manchester. They got to go through Germany. Yeah. And if they get to manage to do that, I don't see why they can't win.
I like I said, at this stage, if you wanna win the championship, it doesn't matter who you're drawn against. You're gonna have to beat them all anyway. So
absolutely.
It'll be a great matchup, and I look forward to it. For me, this is the stronger side of the two compared to the next matchup that we'll talk about next. But
agreed.
Again, stranger things have happened. That's why they play the games on the field, not on our TV sets and in our computers. So moving on, Atletico Madrid 4, Borussia Dortmund 5. A very surprising breakdown of Atletico in defense, giving up 5 goals over the 2 legs. Very unlike Simeone's squad, although, to be honest, in the last couple of years, their defense has been rather porous. They've become more of an attacking squad, which is totally unlike what Cholo has done.
They're changing philosophy drastically, and it's surprising because he is a defensive mind. Like, he mastered that, and that is it's been his bread and butter for years.
Yeah, it's always been, we'll get an early goal, we'll kick the hell out of you the rest of the game, and if you win, you're gonna feel it.
Well, that is true. But German teams again, especially now. I mean, the level of competition. Bayern Munich, yes, it does dominate the German league, but the other teams are no slouch.
No, not at all.
That's just a testament to how good Bayern Munich is.
This has been a tough year though for Dortmund. They, I believe they're in 4th right now. They've lost a ton of players over the years, as they always do every year. They're despite being one of the elites in Europe, they are regarded as a developmental and selling club.
Yes,
they've done it in years past with Christian Pulisic, Timo Werner. No, not Timo Werner. Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland. Aubameyang. The list goes on. Lewandowski. All these great prolific players.
They're Dortmund players.
They started at Dortmund and moved on.
Well, that's the thing with Dortmund, that if you get the right combination of players on any given year, you can do this,
Right,
you can go
right.
this far. That's the beauty of having a developmental team. That if you get the right combination, you catch them early, you take advantage of the situation in that year, you go far, it's all good.
You have the power of youth there. So we
Amen to
talked
that.
about the pedigree, having, you got to have been there before. Sometimes just young naivety and not realizing how big the moment is, and you don't
just
falter
skate
on it. You
through
just skate right through.
Again, it's a test. We'll see what happens because they got Madrid or Bayern coming through.
Well, first they have to get through the winner of PSG and Barcelona. PSG 6, Barca 4. Another, for a neutral, it was another great matchup. Had a little bit of everything. Again, a lot of goals, which has kind of been a theme of these quarterfinals. Let's see, we got 5, 13, and 9 is 22, 32 goals across the quarterfinals, which is incredible.
The 2 legs.
Yep.
It was crazy.
So that second leg, Barcelona looked like they still had it in their hands.
Well, that's the thing.
I shouldn't say meaningless, but a rather stupid red card from Araujo. Put a man down way too early in the match. And, again, we talk about players leaving. PSG is dealing with the same thing.
Yeah.
But they still have the firepower to get through, especially against a 10-man Barca. I think the biggest crime in that match was because of the red card, they had to take off Lamine Yamal to make a defensive substitution. I probably would have done that a little bit differently. He's in such great form. He's got the legs. If anyone has the legs to go
Back
90
forth,
minutes, a man down, it's a 16-year-old kid. They're not going to get tired.
But at that point, you got to preserve the result. I think that was the philosophy. And the problem with Barcelona is that it's proven time after time that they have a hard time when that situation comes up. They have a comfortable lead. The second leg comes in. Something goes awry at the very beginning of the game, and they just can't get their heads back.
Yep.
That is the problem with Barcelona. It's always been, and I don't even know if it's coaching because it's been through different coaches, different teams,
and
complete different eras, but it's the same result.
Right. The question has always been, is Xavi the right man for the job? He won La Liga last year, and still they were out for him. Nobody's got more Barcelona DNA than he
Xavi
does.
And I believe
he's a proven winner with the national team, with Barcelona. He's a proven winner as a manager. He won La Liga.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, they didn't get it done. They have Lewandowski there. They have Ilkay Gundogan, who's a reigning Champions League winner, and had an incredible career with Germany as well. And it just seems like the whole is not better than the sum of the parts that they have there at Barcelona right now.
And it's a manager. It's a team thing. I don't see the coach or maybe the players, but it's mostly the top end of the team, the directors, and
I'm sure
decisions that were made. Pressure
and
that's
their financial issues, I'm sure, are playing a part in that. Really, ever since the tail end of Messi being there, it's been a precipitous downfall with selling off parts of their stadium, selling off media rights. They're mortgaging their future to essentially stay afloat,
to be able to stay open.
And it's not looking good in the present or the future at this point.
They should be all right. Hopefully, they got a fan base worldwide that will support them. And when it comes down to it, at this point, people take ownership of their teams. They help them out, so they still believe in them. I still believe in them sometimes. It's just it's gonna be a rough.
Hopefully, the socios can pull forward and keep on moving. But this time, pulling forward is PSG. So Dortmund and PSG actually were paired up in the same group this year in the fall for Champions League. PSG won 2-0 in Paris, and they drew 1-1 in Dortmund. So, they're rather familiar with one another. A lot of players have kind of bounced back and forth over the years. They've only played actually 6 times, but a lot of that goes to really only the recent successful history of PSG. I mean, they were only founded in 1970. Yeah. They're not one of these historic teams like Dortmund and Barcelona and Atleti or Madrid, Arsenal, City, Munich. They are by far the youngest of this group. But it should be an interesting match with hopefully a lot more fireworks. And, speaking of fireworks, we were talking just before the show about the away goals rule.
Yeah. I did.
Listen, initially I was against it too. I'm more than happy to be proven wrong, because to have, 32 goals in a set of Champions League quarterfinal matches, that's a lot of action. It's a lot of interest. It shows that, for me, that teams are not going to kind of try to steal that away goal and then just sit on things.
Sit back. They're going to try to score as much as possible.
And then with that, home teams aren't afraid to give up that away goal. So now, all bets are off. Just have at it. It for me, it shows teams playing truer to their actual style instead of adapting to the competition.
Yeah.
And I like it. I find that it is maybe a better reflection of the better team winning, at least over those two legs.
Yeah, if you win, you win, and you don't, you don't. Okay.
You don't have to blame, a freak, thunderstorm in Dortmund 2 weeks ago that
that didn't have anything to do. Yeah.
Right. So
okay, I understand, and I don't disagree. Maybe I have been just used to it because I grew up in a different type of point system. When I was young, it was just the same. You win, you win. You lose, you lose. This was just to give the little team a chance, I want to say. I think that's the way I kind of look at it. If a small team can get a result somewhere else, and yes, they play the defensive game. I am a defensive player myself, so I appreciate that. By the way, cheers, man.
Salud. What are you drinking there?
Brown ale, man.
Very nice.
Brown ale. Delicious beer right here at Newberg Brewing Company. Come and take it.
Shameless plug there. I love it.
I have no shame. I am the DJ upstairs, so I gotta plug the place up.
All right. So that finalizes our Champions League coverage. We will obviously be showing the Wednesday matches up at the brewery. I believe that's in 2 or 3 weeks time coming up. But also over the weekend, we had a lot of FA Cup action.
Yes.
We had both semifinals right here. On Saturday, we had Man City and Chelsea. City prevailed 1-0, a 84th minute Bernardo Silva goal. It was a pretty tight match other than that.
Chelsea wasting opportunities. That is a true example of Chelsea just throwing. I don't want to say throw the game away because Man City had their chances too, but they scored the goal, something that Chelsea had plenty of chances to do.
Yeah.
It's just crazy with them. Sometimes it baffles.
Yeah, it's been... It obviously, this is not a political show, but getting into the Roman Abramovich stuff, and really since the forced sale of that club, right, wrong, or indifferent, it really has kind of turned Chelsea on their head.
Yeah.
They've been through several managers, multiple owners, multiple technical directors. The Graham Potter experiment
it
failed
feels
miserably.
like the Barcelona of England.
Yeah. But for the first time in a long time, and obviously Cole Palmer's putting together an incredible year. Actually, Guardiola had mentioned that he kind of regrets not giving him the playing time that he probably should have had.
Yeah.
But, here we are. For the first time, I'm hearing through a lot of channels, both on TV and podcasts and everything, that Chelsea is at least kind of starting to hit stride under Pochettino. There was a little bit of a penalty shot debacle last week. In a already a 3 or 4-0 match at that point. But that kind of stuff happens. It happens with Man City. It happens with Madrid and Barcelona. Yeah. I think the English press has probably blown it over a little bit too much. It's guys want to score goals. I'll take that.
Yeah.
To have multiple players want that ball to score a goal.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it's that.
That's
bad.
an in-house thing, man. It's just blown out of proportions with no context and irrelevance.
Yeah. So on the other side, a little bit more of a high-scoring match: Coventry and Man United on Sunday.
That was exciting.
United goals from Scott McTominay in the 23rd, Harry Maguire in the 45th, and Bruno in the 58th. 3-0 up. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Let's get in for the final. But Coventry thought otherwise. Ellis Sims' goal in the 71st, a Callum O'Hare in the 79th, and American Haji Wright scored in the 95th minute on a penalty to take it to extra time.
Not gonna lie, I already had turned the channel over. I thought it was done.
I was texting my brother. He did the same. I said, you might want to turn this back on.
Dude,
we had a rather large contingent of United fans upstairs that already, were packed in and ready to go for the final. And Coventry made it interesting. They're 8th place in the championship. So even, yes, they're a second division team. They're not particularly doing well in the championship. They're in the top half. They just lost to a relegation battling team.
Yeah.
But they show that they have grit.
And we talked about this before. That's what I love about the way the system in England works. The FA Cup is beautiful. Yeah. The Copa del Rey is beautiful. I love those where they give you a chance to prove yourself to bigger
Formerly,
teams.
The U.S. Open Cup was beautiful until 3/4 of the MLS declined to compete.
But yeah, you gotta have those. You gotta have those things that you can have the smaller leagues, the smaller teams.
I'm all about it.
Get the chance to do this and prove themselves. And we've seen it over and over again in these tournaments. The smaller teams go far. They don't care. They create this culture of we can beat anybody. If we have beaten this team, we'll beat this team once or twice, over the decades, we still know that we can do it. And that's amazing.
I agree. So beyond that, the game went to extra time. Just before the end, it looked like Coventry had a 4th goal. Yes. Haji Wright was deemed offside on his assist by mere inches. If his shoes were a size smaller, I think United would have gone home losers.
You see, now that is something that upsets me, but I have to understand it because it's technology. Yeah. Like they show you the video, they put it right there. Yes, it's a millimeter, but they have evidence that it's a millimeter, and that's better than the VAR.
Right.
I wish they could get the VAR to that point.
Well, we can talk VAR and
another time. Yeah,
goal line technology and all that good stuff till the cows come home. But in penalties, United prevailed. So we have a final on, I want to say it's May 25th, but we'll check on that. Man City and Man United, 2nd consecutive year. We have a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final.
That is going to be
it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. My daughter is going to be on pins and needles.
Yeah, she won't be alone. I'm sure the tap room will be packed with both City and United fans.
Yes.
City won last year 2-1 en route to their historic treble. This is a game where I think squads and form you look at and should be City far and away.
All the way.
But it's a cup final. It's a derby.
It's a one match. It's a one match situation, and that's a whole different.
You never know. At a neutral site, so they're both teams from Manchester going all the way down to Wembley for it. It's.
I don't know. Poor Wembley. It's gonna be crazy over there. Those fans are amazing.
That's why they built it there. It really, because both semifinals were at Wembley as well.
Yes.
They do the Carabao Cup there. They do the EFL Championship, promotion final there. So, and obviously a lot of England matches, both men and women. It gets a lot of activity, mostly for the big matches. Anyone I've spoken to that's been to Wembley for a game, it's second to none.
Yeah.
It's an incredible experience.
100%.
So I look forward to it. Who do you got?
No, I got the same. I got City, man.
Yeah.
City's
I think it's at this point.
There's no discussion
tough to go against City. For me, the only question is, does United sneak in a goal, or do they kind of walk away with a 2 or 3 goal victory?
No, I think it's gonna be close. I think they're gonna put up a fight. It's not gonna be a runaway thing. 3-4-0. Might be a 2-1. I want to believe it's a 2-1. It's gonna be a hard fought, but City's got it. City's good right now. I mean, again, like we said, the result that just happened was unfortunate, but it's not that City doesn't have what's necessary to, or didn't have what was necessary to do the triple again.
Okay,
they had it.
I agree. Well, that does it for our week abroad. We'll be right back to cover some of our domestic play.
See you guys.